You're pretending right now. You know you are. There's a life you're performing, a version of yourself you show to the world, and somewhere deep inside a voice whispers, "This isn't real. This isn't me." You've been hearing that voice for years. Maybe you call it anxiety. Maybe you call it restlessness. Maybe you don't call it anything because naming it would mean admitting it's there. But it's there. It's always been there. And it's getting louder. That voice is the sound of your soul suffocating. It's the alarm going off in a burning building. It's your life trying to tell you you're not living. You're performing. You're following a script someone else wrote. And every day you ignore it, you die a little more. This isn't dramatic. This is the diagnosis. You've been taught to silence that voice, to push it down with work, with relationships, with distractions, with the 1,000 ways we learn to make ourselves numb. You scroll until you can't think. You drink until you can't feel. You say yes to things you don't want to do because saying no would mean admitting you don't know who you are. You've built a life that looks good from the outside, and inside, you're dissolving. And here's what makes it unbearable. You know what you need to do. You've always known. There's a conversation you need to have, a relationship you need to leave, a dream you need to pursue, a leap you need to make. You know exactly what it is, and you're not doing it. Because doing it would mean admitting that the life you've built isn't yours. It would mean walking away from everything that feels safe. It would mean facing the terror that you've spent your entire life avoiding. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not who I think I am? So you wait. You tell yourself, not yet. Soon. When the time is right. When I'm ready. When I'm sure. And the voice gets louder. And the despair gets deeper. And the years pass, and you're still pretending.
There was a man who heard that voice and refused to look away. His name was Soren Kierkegaard. And he's not here to teach you philosophy. He's here to expose what you've been hiding from. Because what he saw in himself, he saw in everyone. The performance, the pretense, the terror of freedom, the despair of living a life that isn't yours. He lived inside that terror for 40 years, and he wrote from there, this is what he saw. He saw that you're living in one of 3 ways, 3 modes, 3 stages of running from yourself. And the terrifying part is you'll recognize exactly which one you're in, or which one you've been cycling through your entire life. Because Kierkegaard wasn't describing abstract philosophy, he was describing you. The first way of living, he called it the aesthetic life. This is the life of the eternal present. The life where nothing matters except what feels good right now. This is pleasure,
Distraction, consumption, novelty. You wake up and immediately reach for your phone because facing the silence terrifies you. You scroll through lives that aren't yours. You consume content you'll forget in an hour. You chase the next hit of dopamine, the next experience, the next thing that might fill the void. This is going out every weekend because staying home means being alone with yourself. This is hooking up with people whose names you'll forget because commitment feels like death. This is buying things you don't need, traveling to places you don't care about, chasing experiences you'll post about but never actually feel. This is living on the surface. This is skimming across the top of your own life, never landing, never going deep, because depth means facing what you've been avoiding. You know this life. You've lived it. Maybe you're living it right now. And for a while, it works. The pleasure distracts you. The novelty excites you. The constant movement keeps you from thinking too hard. You tell yourself, I'm young, I'm free, I'm living. But underneath it all, there's something else. An emptiness. A void that no amount of pleasure can fill. A sense that you're running from something. And you are. You're running from yourself. Kierkegaard called this despair, but it's a specific kind. The despair of not knowing you have a self. You're so busy chasing the next thing, the next experience, the next hit, that you never stop long enough to ask, who am I? What do I actually want? What am I doing with my life? You're living entirely in reaction. Swipe, click, consume, move on. There's no center. There's no you. There's just the performance of living without ever actually being alive. And eventually, if you're lucky, something breaks. The pleasure stops working. The distractions stop distracting. You wake up one morning, and the emptiness is so loud you can't ignore it anymore. You look at your life and think, I can't do this anymore. I need something real. I need something that matters. I need to grow up. And that's when you move to the second way of living, the ethical life. This is when you get serious. This is when you commit. You stop chasing pleasure and start building something. You get the career, you get the relationship, you buy the house, you follow the rules, you do what you're supposed to do. You become responsible, you become respectable, you become an adult. And for a while, this feels like progress. You've stopped running, you've planted roots, you've chosen a path. Your parents are proud, your friends are impressed. You look like you have it together. You post about your achievements, you talk about your 5-year plan, you've made it. You tell yourself, this is what maturity looks like. This is the life. But then something else starts to happen. Slowly, quietly. You start to feel trapped. The job that gave you purpose starts to feel like a cage. The relationship that felt like security starts to feel like obligation. The life you built, the life you committed to, the life you're supposed to want, it starts to suffocate you. You wake up next to someone you're supposed to love and feel nothing. You go to work and feel like you're dying inside. You look at your life and think, is this it? Is this all there is? You did everything right. You made all the responsible choices. You followed the script. And you're still not happy. You're still not free. You're still not you. This is the second kind of despair Kierkegaard sought everywhere, the despair of not wanting to be yourself. You've built a life, but it's not your life. You've become someone, but it's not who you are. You're living by the rules, doing your duty, playing the part. And it's killing you. And the worst part? You can't even admit it. Because admitting it would mean everything you've built was a mistake. It would mean the years you spent, the sacrifices you made, the person you became, all of it was wrong. It would mean you'd have to start over. It would mean facing the question you've been avoiding your entire life. Who am I really? What do I actually want? What is my life supposed to be? You are standing at the edge of the third way of living, and it terrifies you. Kierkegaard called it the religious life. And before you think this is about going to church or believing the right things, stop. This has nothing to do with doctrine. This is about something far more terrifying, the leap of faith. The moment when you stop living according to someone else's script and start living according to your own truth. The moment when you stop asking what you're supposed to do and start asking what you're called to do. The moment when you stop pretending and start becoming. This is the leap into the unknown, into the life you're afraid to live, into the self you're afraid to become. And you can't think your way into it. You can't plan it. You can't make it safe. There is no guarantee. There is no certainty. There is only the choice. Do I keep pretending or do I leap? Most people never make this leap. They stay in the aesthetic life, chasing pleasure until they're numb. Or they stay in the ethical life, doing their duty until they're dead inside. Because the leap requires losing everything you've built. It requires admitting you were wrong. It requires walking away from the life everyone expects you to live. It requires facing the abyss and trusting that something will catch you, or accepting that nothing will and leaping anyway.
This is what Kierkegaard did. He fell in love with a woman named Regine Olsen. He proposed. She said yes. And then, a year later, he broke the engagement. Not because he didn't love her, because he knew something about himself that most people never admit, that he was too broken, too consumed by his own inner chaos to give her the life she deserved. He could have married her. He could have played the part. He could have lived the respectable life, but he knew it would be a lie. And he believed that living a lie was worse than any loneliness. So he walked away. He became the scandal of Copenhagen, the man who broke the heart of the most beloved woman in the city, the man who rejected happiness, the man who chose truth over comfort. And he spent the rest of his life alone, writing, wrestling with God, with himself, with the unbearable weight of freedom. He died at 42, exhausted, misunderstood, vilified. But he died free. He died real. He died himself. And his message to you is not do what I did. His message is stop lying about what you are. Stop pretending you don't hear the voice. Stop waiting for it to feel safe. Because it will never feel safe. The leap will always be terrifying. And you either make it, or you spend the rest of your life wondering what would have happened if you had. Here's what Kierkegaard understood that most people refuse to accept. Anxiety is not the problem. Anxiety is the teacher. That sick feeling in your stomach when you think about your life, that tightness in your chest, that voice that won't shut up, that's not a disorder. That's your soul trying to tell you something. That's anxiety doing exactly what it's supposed to do, alerting you that something is wrong, that you're living a life that isn't yours, that you're pretending, that you need to change. Kierkegaard called anxiety the dizziness of freedom. It's the feeling you get when you stand at the edge of yourself and realize, I could do anything. I could become anyone. I could walk away from all of this. I could start over. I could leap. And that realization is exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. Because freedom means responsibility. It means you can no longer blame your circumstances. You can't blame your parents, your job, your relationship, your past. You have to choose. And choosing means you could be wrong. Choosing means you could fail. Choosing means you could lose everything. So, what do most people do? They run from the anxiety. They medicate it. They distract from it. They rationalize it away. They tell themselves, everyone feels this way. This is just how life is. I should be grateful for what I have. And they push the voice down, and they keep pretending, and the anxiety gets worse. Because anxiety doesn't go away when you ignore it. It gets louder. It gets sharper. It becomes panic. It becomes despair. It becomes the sickness that Kierkegaard said was worse than death. He called it the sickness unto death. And it's not cancer, it's not disease, it's despair. It's the condition of living a life that isn't yours. It's dying before you're dead. It's becoming a ghost in your own life. And the worst part? Most people don't even know they're sick. They've been pretending for so long that they've forgotten what it feels like to be real. They've been performing for so long that they don't know who they are underneath the performance. But you know. You feel it right now. You might not have words for it. You might not want to admit it, but you know. You know the life you're living isn't fully yours. You know there's a version of yourself you're not being. You know there's a leap you're supposed to make. And you know you're terrified to make it. And Kierkegaard is asking you the question you've been avoiding. How long are you going to wait? How many more years are you going to spend chasing pleasure that doesn't satisfy? How many more years are you going to spend doing your duty while your soul withers? How much longer are you going to ignore the voice? How much longer are you going to pretend? Because here's the brutal truth. You already know what you need to do. You've always known. There's a dream you abandoned because someone told you it wasn't practical. There's a relationship you're staying in because leaving would mean admitting you made a mistake. There's a job you hate, but you keep showing up because the alternative terrifies you. There's a version of yourself you're not being, because being that person would require you to disappoint people. You know exactly what needs to change. You've known for years. You're just waiting for permission. You're waiting for it to feel safe. You're waiting for certainty.
And Kierkegaard is telling you, it will never feel safe. There will be no permission. There is no certainty. The leap will always be a leap. And you either make it or you die pretending. He made the leap. He walked away from regime, from respectability, from the life everyone expected. He spent his life writing books almost no one read while he was alive. He fought battles almost no one understood. He was mocked, dismissed, isolated. He died young, broken by the weight of his own honesty. But he lived his truth. He stopped pretending. He became himself. And now he's asking you, will you? Kierkegaard matters now, more than ever, because we live in the age of performance. We curate our lives for screens. We perform our identities for algorithms. We have more freedom than any generation in history, and we have no idea who we are. We can be anyone, do anything, go anywhere.
And we're paralyzed. We swipe through infinite options and commit to nothing. We chase experiences and feel nothing. We're connected to thousands and deeply known by no one. We're living in the aesthetic life on a mass scale, scrolling, consuming, chasing the next thing, or we're living in the ethical life, doing what we're supposed to do, building lives that look good but feel empty. And underneath it all, there's the voice. The one you've been trying to silence. The one that says, this isn't real. This isn't you. You're pretending. And you know what you need to do. And you're terrified to do it. And we're paralyzed. We swipe through infinite options and commit to nothing. We chase experiences and feel nothing. We're connected to thousands and deeply known by no one. We're living in the aesthetic life on a mass scale, scrolling, consuming, chasing the next thing. Or we're living in the ethical life, doing what we're supposed to do, building lives that look good but feel empty. And underneath it all, there's the voice, the one you've been trying to silence, the one that says, this isn't real, this isn't you, you're pretending, and you know what you need to do, and you're terrified to do it. Kierkegaard is not offering you comfort. He's not offering you a system or a solution or 5 steps to authenticity. He's offering you a mirror. And the mirror shows you something you don't want to see, that you're not living your life, that you're playing a role, that you're dying slowly while calling it living, and that the only way out is through the terror, through the leap, through the life you're afraid to live.
The anxiety is there for a reason. The despair is there for a reason. The voice that won't shut up is there for a reason. And the reason is this: you are not living your life. Your soul knows it, and it won't stop screaming until you listen. So here's the question Kierkegaard leaves you with, the question you can't escape, the question that will haunt you until you answer it. What are you pretending? What life are you performing instead of living? What leap are you avoiding? And how much longer are you going to wait before you make it?
The abyss is there. The terror is real. The leap is waiting. And you already know what you need to do. You've always known. The only question left is, when? Stop pretending. Start becoming. Make the leap. Because the voice isn't going away, and every day you ignore it, you die a little more. And one day, you'll run out of time, and you'll look back at your life and realize, I never lived it. I performed it. I pretended. I played it safe, and I died never knowing who I could have been.
Don't let that be your story. Make the leap. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Not when it feels safe. Now. Today. While you still can. While the voice is still calling. While you still have time. Kierkegaard made the leap. He paid the cost. He lived his truth. And now he's standing at the edge with you, asking, will you jump? The answer is yours. The leap is yours. The life is yours. What are you waiting for?